Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Wednesday night. Tonight, President Biden is celebrating what he called a strong night for Democrats after his party outperformed expectations in the midterms. The president says Americans sent a clear and unmistakable message last night about democracy and abortion rights. In a rare, wide-ranging press conference late today, President Biden answered questions about working with the GOP despite possible investigations into his son Hunter, whether he'll run for re-election, and even what he thinks of a Trump-DeSantis showdown for the Republican nomination. And at this hour, control of Congress is still up for grabs. CBS News estimates the battle for the House as lean Republican. It could take several days before we know which party will have the majority. And it could be weeks before we know which party will control the Senate, with 3 races still undecided. Plus, it's now official that that Senate race in Georgia, a hotly contested seat, well, it is headed for a runoff. That's in December. We have our team of correspondents covering the ongoing vote count, but CBS's Nancy Cordes is going to start us off from the White House. Good evening, Nancy.
Good evening, Nora. An upbeat President Biden argued that this was the best midterm showing for a first-term Democratic president in 40 years. He called it a validation of his agenda. But tonight, that agenda is still in jeopardy if Republicans do end up clinching the House or the Senate.
Democrats had a strong night.
As President Biden held on to hope, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy plowed ahead with plans for a House takeover, formally announcing his bid for Speaker.
We will be in the majority, and Nancy Pelosi will be in the minority. Yeah!
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy said last night that it is clear we are going to take the House back. Do you think he's probably right about that?
We've lost very few seats for certain. We still have a possibility of keeping the House, but it's going to be close.
Senate control is still unclear, too. Democrats picked up a seat in Pennsylvania where abortion ranked as the #1 issue.
I'm proud of what we ran on, protecting a woman's right to choose.
It could come down to Georgia, where Republican Herschel Walker is predicting a bruising December runoff against Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock.
And I told you he's going to be tough to beat. He's going to be tough to beat.
History was made at the ballot box last night.
I stand before you tonight, proud to be
Massachusetts elected the nation's first openly lesbian U.S. governor. Wes Moore becomes the first African-American governor elected in Maryland, and just the 3rd in U.S. history. Voters elected the first Gen Z U.S. congressman, a 25-year-old in Florida. And at 40, former White House press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders will be the youngest U.S. governor when she's sworn in Arkansas.
I know it will be the honor of a lifetime.
The White House released video today of President Biden calling around to Democratic winners.
I'll sleep better knowing you won.
The night did not turn out well for former President Trump, as some of the controversial candidates he endorsed struggled, putting winnable seats at risk. But even a 1-seat majority in the House or Senate would give Republicans subpoena power, and they're vowing to launch a range of probes on day 1. What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say. Look, I think the American public want us to move on and get things done for them.
Exit polling from yesterday's election suggests that 2/3 of American voters do not think that President Biden should run for re-election in 2024. He was asked about that today, Nora. He said that those numbers don't bother him, that he has always intended to run again, but that he may not make a final decision until the new year, even if his predecessor, President Trump, goes ahead with plans to announce his candidacy as soon as next week.
Wow, quite a night. Nancy Cordes, thank you.